Welcome back to Game of the Week for round number 21 as the Warrington Wolves welcome the Catalan Dragons to the Halliwell Jones Stadium. What a week it has been for the Warrington Wolves. Of course, the departure of Daryl Powell. Many people have been expecting it for weeks. Finally announced, which means that Gary Chambers and Richard Marshall will lead Warrington into this game against the league leaders. The last time these two met, Warrington were about to go 8 from 8. Let's relive it. Round 8 is Rivals Round in Super League, and two of the top performing sides are going to collide. Warrington Wolves travel to France with a perfect 7 from 7, and they take on a Catalan Dragons team who have only lost one of their first 7 games. This was going to be a belter, and who would come out on top?
Still leading 4-0. There is Kieran with the kick to the corner. Ball goes backwards, and it may well have fallen to the Dragons. And it's a try for Catalan in the corner.
Beautifully weighted kick. And you can see there's 2, 3 shirts in Catalan Dragons colours that get up and contest for that high-hanging kick.
Third, move! Go free. Marquez!
Romano gets the ball out, now the space. Johnston looking for it. Little kick forward. The chase is on for Kieran. Can he get to the ball? And it looks like Dusty. Well, it was Curry who got back. But is it a try? Did he get the ball down?
Lovely kick. Top skill fighter from the back rower.
Curry came from nowhere as well.
And I think Stu, what he's trying to do is wait for the right bounce.
Yeah.
Has his time again, the centre will just fall on the ball.
But did Curry make contact with Kieran before he was trying to get the ball down?
No.
Did he bring him down? Is there a possibility?
No, he's got to get to the ball. It's a contest.
We're going to find out. Big decision for all. And it's given as a try. And was that given as a try, or was that given as a penalty try? He takes a long kick, but 10 yards away from his own try line. What break! Dufty finds a gap. Brilliant from Dufty. Oh, this is sensational from Matt Dufty. What a score! What a run! What a try from Matt Dufty from absolutely nowhere. We talked about the danger of Dufty from deep. And he has delivered a sensational score for Warrington, going 90 yards to score one of the tries of the season. 8 minutes to half-time. What a game.
Go to.
Williams with a little pass inside for Cassiano on the chance. And then brilliant offload for George Williams. It was the old 1-2, and the old 1-2 did the trick for the Warrington Wolves. Williams, Cassiano, Williams, fabulous try.
Yeah, I know. 4. I can't get
Again, spreading the ball wide, and Curry goes inside for Ratchford. Ratchford arcing run, brilliant for Ratchford. Oh, what an interception! And it could be an absolute try-saver. Was it Tom Johnston who has saved a certain try for the Catalan Dragons, and then had the audacity to race up to halfway? And then he's won a penalty, I think, and now all the frustrations are boiling over. This is what this means to both clubs.
Game changer. Game changer for Catalan Dragons. Now let's have a look. There's a line on here, isn't there, from Gil Dunson, the former Catalan player.
Yeah.
Then there's a push, then there's a shove, then there's a punch. He may well be going for a sit down here.
And was that a punch? Let's have a look.
Well, my question is why?
Well, that
It's definitely a punch, Stuart. It's a red.
No doubt, no question. And has the game turned in 60 dramatic seconds? First of all, the try-saver from Tom Johnston. Possible now, I wonder. Run-around move, Philbin. Is the space on that right-hand side? Nicholson for Thewlis, and Warrington will score!
Okay.
But he must have seen something outside on this right side. Matty Nicholson keeps his body square, doesn't allow the defenders to move on. And that's what gave the smallest, slightest of
Kieran with the kick.
Let's see which one we're going to land
Towards Thewlis. Ball goes towards Takeyaho. Inside for the try. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Is it Gunawan who's got the try for the Catalan Dragons with 3 minutes to go? We have no Johnson on the far side. And it's Romano just inside him. Johnston goes through. Was he level? Was he level? There's Takeyaho, and there's Romano with the try. Talk about breathtaking, talk about brilliant game. Here's the decision. No try. Unbelievable, it's been chalked off. It's been chalked off by Marcus Griffiths.
A huge win for the Warrington Wolves against the Catalan Dragons. Real solid performance away from home. And despite Gil Dudson's ill-judged punch on Tom Johnston, Warrington hang on to get a famous win in France to delighted Primrose and Blue fans. Catalan 14, Warrington 20. Well, going into that game, both of these two sides were in brilliant form. Warrington 8 from 8 at the end of that game. But how things have changed since then. Catalan have continued to impress throughout 2023. But for the Warrington Wolves, it has been nothing but a calamity. In the next 12 games, they have only picked up 3 wins. And of course, that led to Daryl Powell being sacked by the Warrington Wolves at the end of a 42-6 mauling at the hands of the bottom of the table's Wakefield Trinity. As you can see, Warrington will be coming into this game on Friday night. 5 losses in a row. It's worse than that, of course. As for Catalan, they come off the back of 2 wins. Interestingly, though, in the head-to-heads, Catalan Dragons have lost to Warrington 7 out of the last 10 times these two teams have met. Maybe that's a good omen for the Warrington Wolves. As you can see, Warrington now just about holding on to 6th place in the playoffs. Who would have thought that? As for Catalan, they are the favourites for the League Leaders Shield. The average point score, well, Warrington's have been tumbling as the season's gone on. As for Catalan, 27.3 is their average point scored. Then, of course, the conceded better again for Catalan. So those two statistics would go in favour of the French side. But, of course, look at that one's to watch. Back for the Warrington Wolves. Thomas Mikaele flew back in on Wednesday. Will he be fit enough to play in this one? Gary Chambers did say that he will be taking a good look at him before the game, and we'll be getting word from Gary Chambers a little bit later on in the show. As for Catalan Dragons, of course, Adam Kieran in sensational form. The bookies are very seldom wrong. They have Catalan as firm favourites. Warrington 15-8, Catalan 4-9. So these 2 ones to watch. Let's take a look at Thomas Mikaele. Of course, played the first 7 games this season for Warrington before leaving to go back to Australia. And of course, they won all 7. At the time, he was one of the most in-form prop forwards in the league. He scored 3 tries in that period, 4 clean breaks, 24 tackle busts, 119 tackles in defence, and he was brutal in attack in terms of his carries, 76 with 588 metres. And there's no doubt he has been a massive loss for the Wire as the season has gone on. On the other side is another Australian, Adam Kieran, of course, on his way to the Wigan Warriors for 2024. But what a season this guy's had. He's really caught the eye. 18 games, 13 wins in those 18 games. Try scored 7, as you can see there. He's very good on the ball. He can get through a line. He can break a tackle. And, of course, his goal kicking has been very, very important indeed for the Catalan Dragons. Both of those 2 players, if they're on the field, may have a big say in the way in which this game goes. So let's take a look at how these compare across the whole season thus far. As you can see, Catalan, nobody has scored more tries in the league than Catalan United. Of course, Warrington led that chart for long periods this season, but it gets very close after that. Look at the average meters per carry, nothing in that, as is the total meters. Tackle busts, again, very, very close. We know that the front units are very, very good in these two sides. We'll be taking a look at those in a few moments' time. Clean breaks, even. Offloads, Warrington favour the offload perhaps more than the Catalan Dragons. Tackles, you would expect Warrington to have had to have been tackling more based on their results of late. Yet Catalan are more prone to errors. Warrington's indiscipline with the ball recently has been a real focal point, but Catalan over the course of the season have made more errors than Warrington, have given away also more penalties. And despite that Gil Dudson red card at Perpignan, again, you can see that it's the Catalan Dragons have the most ill discipline between the two sides. So it's a fascinating game. And even though, 5 places separate them in Super League, this could be a very interesting encounter. Warrington need to bounce back after all of the theatre that's gone on this week, and they will be looking to do so against the league leaders. There could be no greater scalp, of course, at this moment in time. Let's now take a look at the top performers for both sides. Very interesting there, the top performers, that it's Stefan Ratchford who has the better record with the boot thus far this season. Could that be pivotal in this game? One thing that is always big in any match is the middle units. Daryl Powell, very critical of his middle unit on his departure from the Warrington Wolves. But with Thomas Mikaele's return, again, we've said it a few moments ago, he was sensational in those first 7 games of the season. That's a massive boost for Warrington if they can get him on the field. As you can see here, these 3 players average 300 meters per game. That is a little bit more than their opposition, the Catalan Dragons, who average 281. But both of these 2 packs, very, very special indeed. As in Perpignan, no inch will be given when these 2 collide. It's going to be a very interesting game down the middle. We know that there's pace on both sides in the backs. The question is, who can get on top in one of the most critical battles of all between, of course, the front rows? Now, there is, of course, another big battle that's going to take place. 2 great players, both in form. Williams early in the season was electric. May throughout has had his injury concerns, but when he's played, he has been incredibly solid and pivotal to Catalan Dragons in every win that they had. And they had a great game, of course, at the weekend just gone. Let's take a look at these 2 head-to-head, and you can see how good it is. Yes, there's the appearance difference because of Tyrone May's injuries. Tries goes the way of Williams, but look at the try assists, exactly even though Tyrone May has played 4 games less. The tackle busts go the way of George Williams. He really has been running a lot more for the Warrington Wolves this season. Clean breaks, very tight indeed. Offloads, again, no real surprise. Warrington, we saw it in the team stats, do like an offload. And as a consequence, maybe, of the expansive play that George Williams is trying to play, may be prone to a few more errors. The kicking game of George Williams is far superior to that of Tyrone May. And as you can see there, look at the average meters. Again, points to the fact that George Williams is running the ball more. Now, on that basis, you may think, well, why is this a key battle? Well, Tyrone May at the weekend against Salford had a stellar game. Tyrone with a try, an assist, 7 tackle busts in that one game. He carried the ball 16 times for 91 metres, which is a 6-metre average. He was absolutely superb. He also had 2 clean breaks. So when you look at his stats for the season, it's clear to see that performance against Salford was something of quality. And if he can reproduce that against Warrington, he is more of a match for George Williams than perhaps this particular graphic would suggest. Now, like we've said, massive changes at Warrington going into this game. We're going to hear now from the interim coach, Gary Chambers, also from Mitchell Pearce and from Steve McNamara.
100% surprised. Obviously, I had no idea what was going on. Got a call on Sunday evening, and then everything's just sort of stemmed from there. Then, so it was straight out the blue. You know, from me, there was nothing pre-planned or anything like that. And then role-wise, obviously, I think from a board position as well, they'll have a plan. But you know, I'm in this role until that comes to fruition. There's been no timescale on that. I think it's just if and when, and things come right, then I'll move to one side. But there's no timescale at the moment.
Obviously, they've had a bit of a drama this week with their coach, but yeah, that hasn't been spoken about much as a group. We know what a quality team they are, and it was not too long ago they beat us here in the Challenge Cup. So yeah, we've got to go there with our best footy, and it's going to be a big game. You obviously dream about winning the grand final, but as I said, I think the best thing about the team this year has been focusing on one game at a time. Everyone says the same thing, but it's been the focus for us all season, is a challenge each week, which is all you can control. And yeah, the boys are just making sure that we turn up each day, staying connected, doing anything for our teammates and training hard.
100%. These blokes will be better this week. They'll perform better. I'm sure that, you know, by losing a coach and sort of everything that goes with that, what's been the pride's dented. You know, they're hurting, and you know, they're competitors, so they're going to compete. And you know, that's just how it's not me. It's, you know, what can I do in 2 or 3 days with them? There's personal pride will come into this, and they are good professionals, and they'll bounce back. And then he's been averaging 50 minutes. I've texted him, he said he's feeling good. The club have put him on first class. The other Aussie lads aren't too happy about that because they're all moaning about it, but he's coming back first class, so he should be rested. He's coming, mate, he's landing in 10 minutes, and then obviously he's got to get through customs and that. You know, in a couple of hours I'll have seen him, know what he's like, see how he's feeling, get him settled in, and then, you know, we'll make a decision there. You know, if he's good, we'll give him a go. It all depends on how he rocks in, mate. I don't know. It all depends how he comes in.
A difficult week for them. I think first and foremost, as a head coach, you know, I want to you know, say how sorry I am that Daryl's gone. It's a really tough position that we have as head coaches, and there's only us that sit in this seat fully understand the pressures and everything else that goes with the job. So when one of our own loses is the job, you know, I know we're competitors, we're rivals and everything else, but it's probably we understand more than anybody how tough the situation is. So I hope Daryl's okay, and I'm sure he'll bounce back at some point. But I think you know, we will prepare for the very best of Warrington. And we've seen that already a couple of times this season, and they've beat us twice at our place, so big game for us. There's 7 games left of this season now, you know, 7 regular games. There's a quarter of the season. It's a long way. People are thinking the finishing line is close. It's a quarter of the season left, and it shows you how quickly things can change. So, you know, the first 7 games, 6-7 games, Warrington were at the top, clear by 4 points, and it changed dramatically, really, really quickly for them. So it's a lesson for everybody involved in the competition. You know, absolutely everybody, that you have to concentrate all the way through this competition. So it's really sharpened our focus. We've got a real aim on this game leading into the Challenge Cup final week, which is a week off for us. But like I said, there's a quarter of the season left, so lots of rugby league to play. Now, the 2 games Salford this were 2 teams we'd lost against so far this season. We didn't perform as well as we would like to have done in either of those games, or 3 games, twice to Warrington and once to Salford. So there's a bit of a focus there for us, and like I said, we actually love going to Warrington. I know the atmosphere is going to be great there. You know, it's going to be big. There's going to be new coaches. The players are, you know, going to overcome a disappointing weekend result. So I think it'll bring the best out of both teams this weekend.
I'm maybe we'll go after them like they're going to come after us. We're a big team. We're a big tough team. You know, they won 8 games, you know, unbeaten, and they've hit a bump in the road, but that happens. It's about they've been challenged and they're ready for it. So you know, we're not backing out here. We're going head first. So you know, we're going to go toe for toe. There's not that much, you know. There's not that much technical stuff we can put in there. We've got to win that ruck area, and we've got to execute well, kick well. This is a simple game, mate. There's not too often you win games on fancy set plays. It's about effort, and if there's effort there, you know, and it's looking like it is, that there's effort, then they'll not go far wrong. It doesn't matter whether it's Catalan or anyone else.
So everybody concerned really geared up for this game on Friday. It should be a belter. On Super League Raw Weekly, I was joined by Steph Sale, and we previewed the game and gave our predictions. The Warrington Wolves taking on the Catalan Dragons, of course. No Daryl Powell, he, of course, gone. As you saw there in the graphic, beware of the Wolf, massive. Well, I don't think the rumours, I think he's an absolute shoo-in. Thomas Mikaele on his way back from Australia to bolster Warrington's push for the playoffs. Will he play on Friday? Unlikely, I would have thought. However, he is on the way back. To beware of Mikaele. Can he do for Warrington what David Fafita has done for Wakefield? There's a telling one as well. As we've said in the graphic, they're still in the 6th. We've seen Leeds do it. Steph, they couldn't, could they?
Well, I think this is going to be a big saying, whether they can or not. I would not be surprised one iota if Warrington turn over Catalan on Friday. We see it so many times in sport when the coach goes, all of a sudden, the Warrington on paper should be playing in the grand final this year, and that I don't think many fans would dispute that fact. No, they've got a fantastic side. They've just not been playing for Powell. You know, Catalan have got to do the travel over on a Friday night to Warrington. There's a lot of things going in Warrington's favour for this one. I think it's going to be an absolute cracker. I can't wait to watch it on Friday. And I think a lot of it will be how much the Warrington fans get behind the team on this one. If you get behind them, they do something in the first 20 minutes, then you could see a Warrington win. If you don't, then you're facing one of probably the best side in the competition at the moment. So,
well, sir, the league doesn't lie, does it? I mean, they're most consistent. I think the interesting thing here, I said it at full time on Sunday. Daryl Powell could not be in that stadium on Friday. It'd have been toxic. The fact that he's gone, you know, Gary Chambers, Warrington, you know, very well respected in and around Warrington, of course, a former player, very well respected. Richie Marshall, yeah, it didn't work for him as a head coach, but nobody can argue about his coaching pedigree. So I think in terms of the atmosphere at Warrington, there's only one place any frustration will go, and it'll be to the players. I think Chambers and Marshall, there'll be no ill feeling there. It's been announced today that Riley Dean has been recalled from Castleford. That, I think, is quite telling, especially where maybe Drinkwater's concerned. It won't be Williams. So if he's recalling Riley Dean, is he recalling Riley Dean just to put one up on Drinkwater? I don't know. But, you know, James has done a lot of work in the academy at Warrington, etc. He knows Riley Dean, really, really well. Wouldn't surprise me if he gave Riley Dean his head. I'd expect Conor Wrench back for Warrington, in the sense as a lot of Warrington fans have really been scratching their head over Conor Wrench, how he's not been able to get in that side. God only knows. So I do think there will be changes. I think there's no question that there will be changes. I think the players down tools against Wakey, and I think it will be a far different attitude from the players. But, you know, there's a reason why most taps have one for hot and one for cold. Very hard to get an instant reaction. Get in your shower, put it on hot, change it down to cold. It takes a while for that cold water to hit you. Can they turn that tap quick enough against, as you've said rightfully, a team who this season are the best team in the comp?
Yeah, I think what James and Marshall have rightly done is, in times of crisis, you bring everybody in, and you get your Riley Deans back, you get your Wrenches on board, you get everyone together, and you say to it, I mean, the team talk writes itself for me on this one. It's prove everybody that it was Powell and not you. and go and tell those 10,000 fans that it wasn't you that was the problem.
Yeah.
So I think they've got a lot of pressure on them, the Warrington players this week. But they've also got a fantastic opportunity to show the team that they are and that everybody thought they were at the first 8 games of the season. So that we know they can do it. It's just going to be fascinating to see how this story unfolds. And I think this game will have massive viewing figures for Sky, particularly. I think everyone's going to tune in because it should. I mean, this should have been a game of the week because of the quality of the teams, not because of the circumstances of the situation. And I think it's probably a factor of the two. So I can't call this one. It could go either way.
No. It could absolutely. If Sky want to nick my trailer, no problem at all. A little bit of tongue in cheek in there, but yeah, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, it's not over yet. It's not over yet, and you know, there's no arguing. You know, nobody could argue if Warrington somehow could get back to the form that they started in the season. They're going to be a completely different proposition in the playoffs, but very, very difficult for that to happen. In terms of where everybody's gone, with the exception of Greg has gone Warrington 9-17, which is interesting. I've gone the Dragons 1-8. I think it'd be tight. Fans Forum Dragons 1-8. Schofield Dragons 9-17. So that's how we discussed it on Tuesday night. Of course, since then, the squads have been announced, and the big shock for Warrington Wolves fans is no Matty Ashton. Their top try scorer is out for this one, being given a 2-week leave of absence. A foot injury has been plaguing Matty Ashton by all accounts, hence he not being in the squad. You will also notice that Geordie Crowther is in the 21-man squad for Warrington. Will he make his debut? And will, of course, Thomas Mikaele make his second debut for Warrington Wolves? We'll have to wait and see. For the Eagle Eye amongst you, you will also see that Riley Dean, having been recalled from the Castleford Tigers, is not in the 21-man squad. Leon Hayes, though, is. Will he change the half-back combination, or will he persist with Josh Drinkwater, who's been under par, and George Williams? George Williams more than likely will remain. Connor Wrench is expected to start for Warrington, but not in centre, probably on the wing, based on the fact that Matty Ashton is not there. It's going to be very interesting for Warrington, this one. I mean, you'd expect, of course, Matt Duffy, who I continue to say has been in great form all season. He should start at full-back. Wrench, more than likely, and of course, Josh Fulis will be on the wings. And then, of course, the question mark, who is he going to play in the centres? Will he persist with Peter Matautia and Stefan Ratchford? Of course, Stefan Ratchford, you would expect, because of his goal kicking, will start for Warrington. But Matautia has come in for a lot of criticism from the Warrington Wolves faithful for his defensive late. Will there be a change on that right edge? And of course, that right edge was what has been targeted time and time again by Warrington's opposition during the recent weeks. Yet again against Wakefield, it was leaking really badly. You can't put it down to one man, but of course, with the return of Matty Nicholson, only just come back, and of course, Josh Fulis had only just come back, as well as Peter Matautia, who's been having real difficulties in defence. There's no real surprise that Wakefield targeted that side, and you would expect the Catalan Dragons to do exactly the same, because their top try scorer, the top try scorer in the league, of course, Tom Johnston, is on that side. So that's going to be very interesting indeed. Like I say, will he put Leon Hayes in the halfbacks? Who knows? Front line, well, it's more than likely, I would say, going to be Bullock and Paul Vaughan to start. He has been putting, what do we say, he has, Daryl Powell was putting Darrell Clark on from the start. Will it be Clark or will it be Walker? It doesn't really matter. Whoever is starting will, of course, be on the bench. The second row picks itself. You would think Ben Curry and Matty Nicholson. And then, of course, that loose forward position. Joe Philbin started against Wakefield. Obviously, Geordie Crowther is in there as well. And, of course, during the season, Sam Cassiano has played at loose forward as well. So it's really interesting that. And of course, the parting shot from Daryl Powell, you could only guess he was talking about Gil Dudson and Sam Cassiano. What will Gary Chambers do? Will he persist with one of those or both of those? We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be very fascinating to see who starts on the bench for the Warrington Wolves for this one. As for the Catalan Dragons, of course, brilliant performance against Salford at the weekend. Sam Tompkins, more than likely, is going to be starting the game at full back. Davis and Johnson on the wing. It's probably going to be a pick between Ikavalu and Romano. We know that Adam Kieran will, of course, start in centre. Tyrone May, Mitchell Pearce in the squad. So again, you would expect them to be on the field at the start of play. Julian Busquets has been in fantastic form this season. Romain Navarrete, who, of course, was in our team of the week last week, you would expect him to partner him on the starting blocks. Matt Whitley and Paul Seguer has been in great form for Catalan. He'll start. Benjamin Garcia, of course, at loose forward. The defence he goes through, incredible. Of course, Taaki Chan on the score sheet last week. Mikael Gudemon also there as well. You would expect them to load the bench with some big units. Manu Mayu as well, more than likely could be there. Or will he actually opt for Tanguy Zenon at full back over Sam Tompkins? Of course, Sam Tompkins, you never know from one week to the next if he's going to be featuring or not due to his injuries. There's so many question marks, more so on the Warrington side than on the Catalan side. One thing's for certain, you heard Gary Chambers say it, this will be a different Warrington team. They will be bang at it. They will want to show the world that actually it was not them, it was Daryl Powell. But can they do it? It's going to be really interesting to see, isn't it? There's no other thing to do other than look at the trailer. We hope you've enjoyed Game of the Week. Make sure you tune in if you're not going. 8 o'clock, Sky Sports kickoff. One not to be missed. Warrington Wolves against the Catalan Dragons.
Opportunity for Tom Johnston. Williams with a long loop to pass out for Matty Ashton.
We hope you've enjoyed Game of the Week this week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and become a member of the Super League Raw Fans Forum on Facebook. Tell all your friends about us, comment, subscribe, like and share. And we'll be back next week for the Game of the Week for round number 23. 22 as well. We'll see you next time.